brachial, and half of ulnar artery. Here it is, interossa recurrent artery, till here, till this part. That is beginning of radial, beginning of ulnar artery, and everything about brachial and axillary. If you remember axillary cavity, look here, that is sternum. It is clavicle. It is humerus, and this is musculus pectoralis minor. Musculus pectoralis minor. Here it is. Lesser pectoral muscle, musculus pectoralis minor. And above of lesser pectoral muscle, here it is, we have greater pectoral muscle, musculus pectoralis major. This is musculus pectoralis major. And we have three triangles. First, between clavicle and lesser pectoral muscle, that is, who remember what is the name of this triangle? Clavi, pectoral triangle. In projection of lesser pectoral muscle, that is pectoral triangle, and from inferior border of lesser pectoral to inferior border of greater pectoral muscle, this is subpectoral triangle, clavipectoral, pectoral, and subpectoral. And now here it is subclavian and subclavian artery, arteria subclavia, continues to axillary artery. And that is first rib, here it is first rib, and external edge of the first rib, that is the border between subclavian and axillary arteries. And from axillary artery in clavipectoral triangle, in first clavipectoral triangle, two branches start. Here it is superior thoracic, arteria thoracica superior, and thoracoacromial artery, arteria thoracoacromialis. It supplies acromioclavicular joint, shoulder joint, it supplies deltoid muscle above of this joint, and greater pectoral muscles the same. That is, two branches from axillary artery in clavipectoral triangle, superior pectoral, superior thoracic, and thoracoacromial. In second triangle, in pectoral triangle, it gives only one branch, arteria thoracica lateralis. Lateral thoracic artery, it supplies musculus serratus anterior, and in subpectoral triangle, three branches. Arteria circumflexa humeri anterior, arteria circumflexa humeri posterior, and subscapular artery, that is the largest branch, subscapular. Anterior and posterior circumflex humeral artery, they supply muscles of the arm. Anterior artery supplies musculus coracobrachialis, biceps and brachial muscle, and posterior circumflex artery supplies triceps. They make anastomosis one with another, and also posterior artery participate in blood supply of shoulder joint. And last, subscapular artery, arteria subscapularis, gives two branches. One of them is arteria thoraco-dorsalis. Arteria thoraco-dorsalis goes to musculus latissimus dorsi and supplies it. And arteria circumflexa scapula. Arteria circumflexa scapula makes anastomosis with branch from thyrocervical trunk. If you remember thyrocervical trunk, it gives three branches. Inferior thyroid, arteria cervicalis ascendens, and arteria suprascapularis. And suprascapular artery makes anastomosis with arteria circumflexa scapulae from arteria subscapularis. My diagram only for your understanding. Then axillary artery then continues into brachial, arteria brachialis. and the border between them, that is inferior border of musculus pectoralis major, inferior border of musculus pectoralis major, that is anteriorly, and posteriorly, that is musculus teres major, musculus teres major. And brachial artery, arteria brachialis, it passes in sulcus bicipitalis medialis on the arm, and in cubital fossa, at the level of the neck of the radius, it subdivides into two terminal branches. They are radial artery and ulnar, arteria radialis and arteria ulnaris. Largest branch from brachial artery, that is deep brachial artery, arteria profunda brachii. This artery goes into the canal. Who remember name of the canal on the arm? Put your 9 today. If somebody remember name of the canal on the arm between triceps and humerus. Canalis humeromuscularis. I received 9 today. Deep brachial artery, arteria profunda brachii, goes into this canal, canalis humeromuscularis, surround humerus, supplies triceps, gives branch for humerus, and subdivides into two terminal branches. They are arteria collateralis radialis and arteria collateralis media. Two collateral arteries, radial and medial. The same from brachial artery, we have arteria collateralis ulnaris superior and arteria collateralis ulnaris inferior. Now, from ulnar artery, we have arteria recurrens ulnaris anterior. It makes anastomosis with collateralis ulnaris inferior, and arteria recurrens ulnaris posterior. And posterior recurrent artery makes anastomosis with superior collateral. The same from ulnar artery, we have common interossal artery, arteria interossa communis. This common artery gives anterior branch and posterior branch. And posterior branch, arteria interossa posterior, it gives a recurrent interossal artery, arteria interossa recurrens, and this recurrent interossal artery makes anastomosis with arteria collateralis media from deep brachial artery. And from radial artery, from arteria radialis, we have arteria recurrens radialis, recurrent radial artery. It makes anastomosis with arteria collateralis radialis. That is why in the region of elbow joint we have network, and this network has name rete articularis cubiti, network of the elbow joint, rete articularis cubiti. And from this network, elbow joint receive blood. And you need to know names of all these anastomoses. One again, collateralis ulnaris inferior makes anastomosis with recurrence ulnaris anterior, collateralis ulnaris superior with recurrence ulnaris posterior, arteria interossa recurrens from posterior interossal artery makes anastomosis with arteria collateralis media from deep brachial artery. Arteria recurrens radialis makes anastomosis with arteria collateralis radialis, the same from deep brachial artery. Diagram not necessary to draw, but you need to know all of these anastomoses. Clear? Let's go with me. Well, what is this vessel? Is it clear for you? That is aorta, arc of aorta, aortic arch. and it gives what? From right to left, brachiocephalic trunk. This is left common carotid artery and left subclavian artery. And brachiocephalic trunk subdivides into right subclavian and right common carotid artery. Now, subclavian, today you already know from subclavian artery, this green color, that is what? That is arteria vertebralis, vertebral artery. It goes in transverse processes, then comes into the skull through foramen magnum, and inside of skull joined with the same artery from the opposite side. That is vertebral artery. Then this is what is it? Internal thoracic artery, and internal thoracic artery, it gives arteria intercostalis anterior. They are anterior intercostal arteries. How many?
6.
Usually 6. The same it gives arteria muscula phrenic artery. Just a moment. Should be here. Arteria muscula phrenic artery. The same it gives pericardiaca phrenic artery and superior epigastric. This is tyrocervical trunk, and tyrocervical trunk gives inferior thyroid artery, arteria thyroidea inferior goes to thyroid gland. Then this one is ascendens cervical artery, arteria cervicalis ascendens, and one artery which goes to dorsal surface of scapula, that is arteria suprascapularis. Now, in this body, in this corp, this is transverse cervical artery, and this is suprascapular. That is variant of human anatomy for this person. Suprascapular here and transverse scapular is here. No, it is possible, and this branch is costa cervical trunk, truncus costa cervicalis, and costa cervical trunk gives deep artery of the neck, arteria profunda cervicis. This is deep cervical artery, and it is arteria intercostalis suprema. And this artery subdivides into first and second posterior intercostal, and posterior intercostal arteries makes anastomosis with anterior intercostal arteries from internal thoracic. That is subclavian. Now axillary. This is axillary artery. This is arteria axillaris. And axillary artery infest in clavipectoral triangle gives arteria thoracica superior. Here it is. This is superior thoracic artery. And arteria thoracoacromialis. Arteria thoracoacromialis. This is thoracoacromial artery. It gives branch for acromioclavicular joint to shoulder joint and for deltoid muscle. And another branch goes to pectoral, musculus pectoralis major, and supplies it. That is pectoral branch from thoracoacromial artery. And in second, in pectoral triangle, it gives arteria thoracica lateralis. This is lateral thoracic artery. It supplies musculus serratus anterior. And then in subpectoral triangle, it gives anterior circumflex humeral artery, arteria circumflexa humeri anterior, this one. It is arteria circumflexa humeri posterior, and they make anastomosis one with another in the region of shoulder joint and supply shoulder joint and muscles. And this is subscapular artery, arteria subscapularis, and arteria subscapularis subdivides into two branches. One of them goes to latissimus dorsi muscle, that is arteria thoraca dorsalis, and here it is arteria circumflex scapula, and circumflex scapular. I already said about anterior and posterior circumflex humeral artery, subscapular, thoracodorsal, and circumflex scapular artery, arteria circumflexa scapula. And circumflex scapular artery, who remember, makes anastomosis with what? With suprascapular, with this artery. It is it is circumflex scapular artery, this is, and it makes anastomosis with arteria suprascapularis from subclavian artery. And now, this blue color, that is brachial, arteria brachialis, and brachial artery gives, this is deep brachial artery, arteria profunda brachii, and deep brachial artery goes into the canal, muscularis, and subdivides into two terminal branches, arteria, this is collateralis media, and another is arteria collateralis radialis, this one, collateral, just a moment, collateralis radialis, medial, this is, yes, this is medial collateral, and this is radial collateral. And you can see that medial collateral artery, arteria collateralis media, makes anastomosis with this green artery, that is arteria interossal recurrent interossal, just a moment, recurrent interossal from posterior interossal artery, posterior interossal, just a moment, it is arteria interossal posterior, that is from common interossal artery. And I move it this way. Here it is arteria recurrens radialis, radial recurrent artery from radial artery. It makes anastomosis with arteria collateralis radialis from deep brachial artery, and not very clear. Here it is from brachial artery. We have arteria collateralis ulnaris superior, and should be here arteria collateralis ulnaris. No, just a moment. This is recurrent artery. Just a moment. I remove some structures. Maybe it will more easy for us to see. I think maybe it here, arteria collateralis. Yes, it is here. Arteria collateralis ulnaris inferior. It makes anastomosis with recurrens ulnaris anterior, and collateralis ulnaris superior makes anastomosis with recurrens ulnaris posterior. Yes, that is network of the elbow joint, rete articularis cubici. Rete articularis cubici. And here it is radial artery and ulnar artery. This is recurrent radial artery. Here it is common interossal artery. And common interossal artery gives anterior and posterior interossal. And posterior interossal gives recurrent interossal artery. Your questions?